I'm so excited to have Ani over here, Ani Lipitz from, is it Gula Vision? Are you still in the Gula
Gula
Vision?
Vision. Yeah,
And
still
and
plugged into the Gula Vision.
only Gula Vision. And
Only Gula Vision.
and Ani is a dear colleague and friend and light worker that's here during this time. So I feel like we're as we were saying before we came on, this feels kind of like the 80s, where we have our cassettes, our recordings, and we're just like getting it out, and it's almost like, what is going on in the world that we just
Yeah,
want to that we just want to get this cassette out of, like, this listening of the live show, going back to that analogy of the Grateful Dead and people that were there, and they're making, other people are making bootlegs of that recording,
right.
and getting information out in that way is a very is a very it's a very grunge or pre-grunge kind of a place of just we're in the world, and really the Rebbe did that since 19 since he was born, but since the 1950s. And that message and that information and that, we could say, vibration, because music
Yeah,
is really vibration, is coming out. And right now we're in a time that the vibration is like just so loud, and we're like, what can I put on headsets? Can I just block? Can I
yeah,
mute it out? What could I do? Inside I'm feeling this, but maybe let me not feel that. And we're in such a transitional time. So I was asking, you're in Gula Vision, but you also do a lot of energy healing and connected to
yeah,
that vibration. And so it's such a pleasure to be here with you, and with and with Lorenzo and Rivka and Yitzchak and everyone, all of us here, Fabringen,
yes,
on this very auspicious day, the 23rd day of Sivan, which we have so
yes.
much potential here to really manifest and to just connect to. So I'm just putting it all out, and it's so awesome to have you here, and l'chaim.
L'chaim v'lebracha. It's so awesome to be here. Yeah, it's right now. It's like it's really about being able to be in the intensity face to face with all everything that's coming through. And I think I just want to start the jumping off point just to be like what I shared with Lorenzo earlier, which he forwarded me an invitation to like a Zoom gathering of like prayer and Tehillim. And what I said to him was these things these things are beautiful and they are holy. And also, we have to understand that we are stepping into a reality. We are being not just invited, but like forcefully escorted into a new reality that requires new tools. And we need to understand that the answer to our prayers and our tefillah and our tehillim is going to be either being invited, or at this point there's no more invitation, schlepped into a new consciousness where we're
Oof.
unpacking new consciousness tools, new ways of being that the
Mm.
Torah has for us. So it's not that, no more to feel and no more to tell him, God forbid. But we must mature our psyche. And most of us have, whether consciously, unconsciously, intentionally, or unintentionally, we have matured and ripened to the point where we're able to go deeper now into this technology, as Rabbi Avram Sutton calls it, spiritual technology, to no longer be relating it to it from the outside in, where it's like, oh, save me, I'm a helpless baby, save me. But instead, understanding that these are tools to give us our power, and not our power, but our true identity back. Because it's about stepping into our true identity as cosmic beings, our ability to hold and to process massive amounts of intensity. And I think that's one of the reasons why our souls and the Ein Sof Baruch Hu have guided us all so much deep into the server room and the basement of our own psyches with the healing work that we've been doing, and learning to be in that sacred darkness and receiving the power
Mm.
back from it and the totality of who and what we truly are. Because like, if you look at Torah and not just the hidden dimensions of Torah, but the written Torah, the amount of intensity and darkness and tohu and seeming chaos that has always been navigated. And now is the time that we're able to harness and to transmute um, the chaos, because once we can sit with it, we can learn its gifts and we can learn how to use it so that it no longer has to produce chaos or destruction, but that it
Wow.
becomes life force itself, and we can create intentionally with it. But we have to be really initiated into our own individual and collective shadow first before we can actually manage those holy forces in a way
Mm.
that's going to be constructive and in alignment with the divine agenda of evolution, true evolution.
It's unbelievable. We're living with the times right now, Parsha Shlach, where Moshe Rabbeinu sends the 12 spies. I mean, they asked to be sent into the land.
Yeah.
But there's a beautiful teaching that I learned today that really shed like a new light on specifically the mission of Yehoshua and Kalev. Because the question is, like, why did Moshe feel the need to pray for Yehoshua and add an extra letter to his name, while for Kalev, he didn't pray for, and he didn't do anything for, right? It's a question of questions. I mean, it's discussed in Sichos of the Rebbe and in Tafshin Nun Beis and other years. And today I learned a beautiful teaching from the Shemish Shmuel, who was the grandson of the Kotzker Rebbe. And I'd like to look into these other books, other Sfarim, that I feel like
Yeah,
by understanding the foundations of Hasidus, understanding the foundations of the Rebbe's Hasidus, so we could take it even a step deeper in understanding emotional depth that is really found in Hasidus. So,
right.
anyways, the Shemish Shmuel says as follows. He says that Yehoshua, first of all, he asks a question. He primes us with a question. He's like, Yehoshua was called Hoshea before. What's wrong with being Hoshea, which means salvation? Like, he has a name which is like a name which is connected to salvation. That's good enough. Why did he feel the need to add an extra yud to his name, which would mean God should save you from the Eitzah, from the advice, the thoughts of the Meraglim? So, and the second question is he basically says that Yehoshua or Shea was an anav. He was humble. So someone who is humble is not swayed. And he explains that humility is not what we think. Like, humility is some person that's there and they're like a nebach, a nebi person.
Right.
They're like
Humility is not humiliation. Big difference.
exactly. And
Yeah.
there's a whole mimer of the Frierdiker Rebbe of the Yasvu Anavim. What is humility? That an anav is actually able to tap into simcha, because they're able to tap into the power of basically of the now, of the power of observation. And that's what he says. So he says, so we're already going with that like deeper narrative. Like, it's not that Hoshea Yehoshua was this Nebi person. He was able to tap into like a very deep now that was shined towards him from Moshe Rabbeinu, which is the sun, and Yehoshua is the moon. So anyways, so he says that what's the purpose of the Yud? It's because we are social beings and we're swayed and we doubt our own light. We doubt our own truth. And Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to bolster and to strengthen Hoshea's perseverance and truth in himself.
Wow.
Yeah, so he gave him the letter Yud, which is God's name, right? The letter Yud, Chochma, the level of Chochma.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that is the fight of Amalek, which we once had a beautiful conversation on.
We verbringed about that. We did.
We verbringed about, yes.
Yeah.
And Amalek is the severing of the letter Yud and the letter Hey, etc., from the Vav and Yehoshua had to fight Amalek, basically, and we have to fight Amalek. So
Right.
we have this darkness, but yet this amazing, incredible light that's there. But yet, because we are social beings and we're swayed by the news and we're swayed by what other people think and we're swayed by our
And what
own
they feel.
shadow, like you're saying, and everything, we're like at the bottom of like the coffee pot, where
Yeah.
everything is just like
Wow.
mixed up, and we're like, oh man, like this gook is coming up, and I doubt my own light, I doubt my own
Yeah.
self, and this is really what we're living in right now. The parsha of the week, the energy
Yeah.
of the week, and last week's parsha Ba'aloscha, where we're asked to be illuminated. This week's parsha, we're actually questioned, and our light is being questioned, and we're like, and basically, what is our light? Or is it being dimmed? And Moshe gave Yehoshua that letter Yud. So just to end
Wow.
that concept off, that Kalev was not prayed for. Kalev had to earn it on his own. And so he explains the Shem Shmuel that from the Arizal's teachings, which is why I love to learn these beautiful like raw Hasidic teaching, because they just bring in the Arizal and the Zohar, and
Yeah.
they're like go, and so he says that the Arizal, and this is something that we've been learning about on our Live Kabbalah classes in the community, about reincarnations or incarnations, that that Kalev had the incarnation of Yehuda. So he had the name Yud K. He had the Chachma in there because he had
Already.
that already. So he had that incarnation. So whichever way we look at it, if it's Yehoshua or if it's Kalev, it's that letter Yud. It's that bolstering that we're really after, and that we really need to recognize and to pay attention to, that letter
Yeah.
Yud inside of us.
Yes. And that letter Yud, thank you for all of that. That letter Yud, I'm really fixating or tuning into this concept of the Yud as the Chachma, which is which is where the flow of life force from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, and specifically the Or Ein Sof, the data that the Endless One is streaming into us about itself and reality, that we are in this world to receive and interact with, right? We receive what's streaming in, and based on our thought, speech, and action and our choices, we send the data back up through the Eitz Chaim, through the Tree of Life interface system, and then it comes back down. We're in this constant interplay with it. That when we're tuned into that Chokhmah, we're really tuning into that living, constant stream um, of influx and flow. And the quality of Chachma is also the quality of Bittul, which is to get our preconceived notions out of the way. We talk about Bittul as nullification of the ego. And what is nullification of the ego? A big, I think maybe step one to actually being in Bittul is to stop projecting. And so when I'm teaching these concepts applied, and we're talking about Bittul, the concept of Bittul is like stop projecting and observe. And like you're saying, and like we're saying, like stop jumping into wanting to fix, stop jumping into wanting to save. Like there's a whole new consciousness that's required of us as we're moving into this new reality, and moving into this whole next phase of evolution of humankind, of godly revelation. And so the answer to our tefillah is yes, God willing, it's going to be revealed salvation on the ground. But how are we going to sustain that? It's with that yud, with allowing a whole new flow to come in and recognizing that flow intuitively, because Chochmah is also the intuitive flow, and not projecting back onto it the old ways of analyzing and processing data that we've had, but being aware that there is a new operating system that is coming online for us, and to really function in a face forward way, and to really come eye to eye and face to face with the Matzil Baruch Hu, with the Emanator, blessed be He. May we be eye to eye with it. It's requiring a whole new operating system that comes from depths of Torah within itself, which have heretofore not been revealed in this realm.
Yeah, and it's basically the nervous system rewiring itself,
Literally, literally.
because that is the yud. If we really want to bring it down somatically,
Yeah,
experientially, what the yud k vav k really is, and that letter yud that Moshe was giving to Yehoshua, and and that we're being downloaded, is this letter yud, which is within the mind, which is
yeah,
reptilian brain, right? That beginning of it, right? And to be connected to something which is above it, to be connected to that crown of the letter yud, which that
yeah,
crown of the letter yud is this place of bittul, right? The Arizal says it's the head that doesn't know itself. So there's three levels to it, right? It's the level of and like Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg was saying for years um about these concepts, which are very the teaching about the three levels of the head which doesn't know itself, which is the keter of chachma, which on an experiential level, really what it means is being able to not project
right.
ourselves and to be in a state of observation.
Yeah, to truly receive something new in order to ourselves become emanators and creators of something new. And the Rebbe is in, especially in the Devar Malchus and in the Sichas where he was going hard with giving us those Geulah keys and frequencies, so to speak. But no, literally, that's what was happening. Um,
Literally, yeah.
literally, um, talked all the time about the concept of his chadshus, of constant renewal, of constantly being in a state of renewal. And so that to do that in a way that is what he's actually talking about and not chaos or dysfunction or avoidance or anything like that requires us to be very embodied, requires us to have really come into contact with the shadows, with the ways our nervous system has just been firing and responding to reality, and take conscious ownership of that. Because to truly be renewed in a way that's oros de tohu, those lights of chaos in the kalim of tikkun, in the solid vessels of repair, of a repaired reality, we do have to be in a state of groundedness and embodiment to not get totally short-circuited by the revelations coming in. And that
Totally.
is the Geulah state of those oros of tohu, the lights of chaos in the vessels of tikkun, in the vessels, in the repaired vessels, so to speak, essentially. And when those things come together, which they are on as our human baseline for the first time in history, we have everything functioning and able to create things that have never been seen before in this world. We're creating
Yeah.
things and experiencing things as we're stepping into this that are literally the creation of Oros de Tohu, totally and completely unified with Kalim de Tikkun. And that produces new fruit. And it's exciting.
Yes. Yet it could also be conversely that we are so affected by the outer world, so just crazy with all the information which is streaming down. So
Yeah.
there's so much information, and I see my kids. Especially during this period right now. Where here we are in Israel, and there's sirens coming down, and many people feel the only way to feel safe is to know more about what's happening. So what just happened? So I at
Mm-hmm.
least I know what's happened. So that's giving me control. So I see
Mm-hmm.
that with my kids and with myself as well. That
Totally.
that now
That's
that I
human
know
nature.
that's human nature, exactly, and that's that reptilian brain nervous system that's there trying to cope and to try to feel safe, essentially, right? and
Absolutely.
and 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 yet, like on the other side of it, or the deeper side of it, right, that um that voice which has been streaming down for so long, but yet we're we're not making a conscious choice anymore. It's not really consciously that we're saying, choose let me choose to do to be here, meaning to be in a in a present state of mind. It's not a choice anymore. It's survival between between insanity and sanity. That really is
Yeah.
what it is, because it's so intense, and there's so many bits of information, so much which is coming at us. Whereas thank God I'm so blessed to go into nature here in, in the Upper Galilee, to go into the forest, to go to a stream every day, and to immerse in a cold plunge, and to have that opportunity to just sit right in nature, and to see that as reality, that Hashem is here, like in nature. And it's that back and forth between, we have so much information, we have so much of an ability to connect to, right, to this right now, right,
Yeah.
to Oris the Toe. This is Oris the Toe, but in
Yeah.
Kalim de Tikkun, the Kalim de Tikkun, for me, and this is what has really just the last couple of years is just unfolded for me, right, as I'm here in nature, and I am here in the now, which is
Yeah.
so simple, which is so just like, just this is it, right? So it's this it's this back and forth, and it's intense. Those
Yeah.
two sides are
Yes.
so extreme.
Yeah, and that's also the ratzo v'shuv, the run and the return, where it's like I'm opening myself, I'm running out to see, I'm running out of where I of myself in order to receive new information, to take in new data, and then that shuv, that return is like, and now I have to return to integrate. And
Oof.
it's so it's really it's important, it's so important to be able to be in that quiet, like you're saying, to be in the present, to be in the now, because we go and we take in new data, new streams of data, and then there's that return to just the presence and the nature and being by the stream and just like what's here now. And it's in those moments of like return and integration that we're then able to tune into, the still small voice within ourself, that is our own personal stream of godly data, our own personal like godly identity, speaking to us, helping kind of to give direction on how we as an individual emanation of the Ein Sof Baruch, it is to integrate that, so to speak. It's our
Yeah.
own personal inner guidance, like kind of defragging all of the data that we just took in, so that return to self is like, it's right now I'm like feeling it as like a magnetic stream, like defragging everything that we just took in to integrate it into the operating system.
Yeah, and I'd like to like transition a little bit, and I'm taking this, and for what we're saying now, into the context of male female ways of integration.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, when we bunch everyone together, and you were saying that there's a nervous system, and there's just, there's a way that we all process things, and there's, for each person it is different, but
Yeah.
but generally we have the energy of the masculine and the feminine, and we take things very, very differently.
Yeah.
What's your take on the difference, and where we're evolving into, because obviously there's such a confusion in the world with
Yeah.
the divine masculine, divine feminine.
Yeah.
Um,
So this is like a tikkun and a repair that I'm really deep in myself now, because just to be vulnerable and honest, I've functioned, and I think many women are in this place, and many males have functioned on the opposite side as well. I've functioned in a very masculine way for most of my life. And I think
yeah,
many women have.
yeah,
And it worked for me because I tend to be more top heavy intellect, dissociated.
yeah,
It also has to do with my soul root. I'm very much rooted in Bina, in the intellect to begin with. So for me, I'm really like now, like, in the waters up to my neck, welcoming my actual feminine back on board instead of shutting it down and being like, no, I need to function like a man or like a male in my masculine. But as I've welcomed that woman back online, as what I'm finding is like a lot of processing, and I think the other thing is that we're transitioning into a more feminine era, not meaning that people are supposed to be womanly or feminine, but things that have been that are attributed to the feminine aspects of reality are integrating more, even for men who are, when they're in their healthy masculine also. But processing through talking, a lot of speech, really deeply processing relationally, processing through movement. That's a lot of, as I've been letting that woman come back online for me, where she brings me to. Um,
mm,
and that's if any other woman on the chat has more insight, because I'm just remembering how to like be a woman and like be in my feminine as well after, I'll be 39 this summer, God willing. So, but like,
yeah. But
really, really processing a lot through those feminine aspects of reality, like the malchus aspects, the movement, the speech.
yeah,
I'd love to hear
I
your
just,
insight,
yeah, no,
because
just
you
when
see,
you
I
were
short circuit.
when you were saying that, coming from Bina, that your soul root is from Bina.
Yeah,
Um, so that is a feminine.
it is the feminine.
It's Leah. It's the divine. Kabbalah calls it. It writes the letter Hey. It's the upper letter Hey,
Right.
whereas Rachel was the lower letter Hey. But that doesn't make you or make any other feminines that are in that top, you're saying top heavy, but like not top heavy, like in like I think in a good way, in a way
Yeah, oh,
of
for sure.
intuition.
Yeah,
and
it's the
and I,
supernal mother.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yila,
So
yeah.
just to bring that to the masculine now, there's also Yisrael and Yakov, which Yisrael is more of a, we could say, like aloof, masculine. We could call it that. That is spiritual. That is, I don't want to say disassociated, but maybe emotionally, maybe that could be
Mhm.
perceived as, where there is that male energy, which is, if we would translate it to our lives, the the male that just goes to work. They have like that 9 to 5, or 9 to 9, or 9 to 12, right? Where
Right,
they are the successful lawyer or business person. They're top heavy, but they're aloof. They're
right,
disassociated. They're disconnected to themselves, to their families, to reality, right? They're coping. This is on the, obviously, the other level, but then there's Yaakov, which is which is really where the masculine is where God meets. Yaakov is in that place of Yud Akev, in that heel,
yeah,
where the divine masculine is this space of presence, of awareness, of the power of observation, of kindness, of strength. And it's the balance of these two energies, um, and being present for for what is, like, for what exactly my role is in this moment. So if it's to chop wood, or to be, or to, or to do other roles, or to be, to take my daughter to the bathroom, in the middle of the night,
Right.
or if it's to tend to my wife that is feeling anxious and not being swayed by that anxiety, or
Right.
or to do that role. Men, we have a very difficult role, that in this feminine, Geulah, or as the world is becoming more feminine, we're kind of uh coming back to appreciating the masculine,
Yeah.
because without a healthy masculine, we don't have a healthy feminine, because the feminine can't
Healthy
do
for
it on
sure.
her own
Yeah.
without without us, without the masculine. Again, male, female, we have both,
Exactly.
za and malchus, and we have both of them. But
Yeah.
Yisrael, Sava, and Yaakov Avinu, and Yaakov meeting Rachel. But at the end of the day, Yaakov is also is buried with Leah.
Right. And I
You know,
believe it's taught that Leah was the higher Zivug, and
was
that's
the
why he
higher
couldn't see
Zivug.
her at first because he needed more rectification before he could actually see her. Yeah.
Yeah, and coming to these two polar dimensions
Yeah.
of being present to the without, like the outer realm, the divine level, where the masculine could tune in to that higher intuition,
Yeah.
right, and be vulnerable,
Yeah.
because that vulnerability really comes from Leah, right? It doesn't necessarily come from Rachel. That, right, which is exactly what you're saying. He had to like
Yeah.
be, he had to, he had to go into that realm. Um, yeah, it's such a powerful fixing that we're doing right now, in this generation, whether or not we know it, or we know it, or we like it, but we are definitely stepping into these higher roles of ourselves again, but not being stuck to the roles and being like,
Right.
oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm.
Right.
It's like,
And that's being in that flow of the yud, of the hischadshus, coming from, our higher soul roots. And chachma is associated with atzilas, which is the level of being able to see divinity, of sight, of seeing things as they truly are. And it's flowing in for us now. And it's that level of consciousness that we're being asked to stick into. And that's the concept of Gula Vision. And the Rebbe saying, open your eyes and see Hashem face to face. Like see the divine patterns in everything that's manifesting. Like understand the structure of reality and see it and be in that face to face Geulah vision relationship with the, with the Ein Sof and all of the things that we're doing.
oof, yeah, you know, as an alarm sounds off here,
Wow.
that sometimes like feels um distant, like on
Yeah.
certain levels, right? But yet at the end of the day, it's there to really strengthen that, you know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I wonder what, because we know that sometimes, sometimes we have to totally bypass the mechanism of thought, even, and bring something straight to speech or action. I wonder what portals you could open by hearing that alarm go off and saying, this is you being face to face with me in this alarm, Ein Sof Baruch Hu. Like to speak those words and make that yehood of the alarm going off or whatever, you're seeing in the air happening, to literally to speak those words and say, this is you manifesting yourself to me, Ein Sof Baruch Hu. I wonder what we could actually produce on the ground with that affirmation.
It's, you know what, it's really a big ask, I think.
No,
But
you could feel
I
afraid and
could
say,
I
we don't
could
want this,
right. I'm
but I wonder what could happen.
exactly. No, I'm with you on that. I know that, like in Tel Aviv and in the center of Israel, where there's like tall buildings, where
Yeah.
where people like literally have to run down the stairs in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day or just a random hour, like, right?
Yeah.
Because they can't stay in on that floor because like a missile will just decimate it, you know.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
here you have your family, and you have like your, kids, and you're faced with this,
You need to actually
and
survive.
you need to survive. But I think that in the hindsight of it, I think like in the midst of it, I think that we're just right away, like our minds are just chasing to for survival.
Yeah.
Yet before and after, we can like, prime ourselves
Yeah.
into breathing, into a mindset, which is um, something that we've been working on here. Um, and and yeah, so I think that coming face to face with that, and I think that we are like literally wherever we are in the world, we're hearing those
No matter what.
sirens, no
Yeah.
matter what. But
Moments
Hashem,
of chaos in your life. Like where
like
your nervous system is, where
mamish,
your nervous system is. And yeah, and I'm not saying to like sit there and not go to
to
the
the safe.
shelter. I'm saying like, and
Yeah,
I'm not saying that this is the righteous practice. I'm saying that if your brain gives you a moment of pause for those words to come out as you're running, that's the yehood. It's not to sit there in meditation. It's literally like as your effing nervous system is activated,
yeah,
if the words can come out. Because and I'm saying that obviously not from being faced with, missile sirens, but moments in my own life where there was crisis happening and my
sirens.
nervous that were in the middle of a panic attack, literally, to say I'm literally having a panic attack and I'm face to face with you right now. You're not feeling bliss, you're actually having a physiological panic attack. To get those words out, I've experienced not immediate relief, but the baseline operating shift that I felt come from that practice. So I'm not sitting here being like, oh, here's the righteous practice for you, but I wonder what could be produced if in those
Yeah,
moments, if our nervous system allows just the words to come out in the midst of that survival.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I I feel like it's possible. Like I personally do that, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and I'm not saying it's the answer
but
and everyone must do it. I just
but
wonder.
yeah, but I guess projecting my
Hmm.
my my being is projecting on poor individuals in the center of Israel, thinking that, and like my own nervous system is feeling their nervous system, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yes, we feel each other's nervous system. We're connected. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zelazet. It doesn't mean we're responsible for each other. That's one of those Amalek tricks that has fed codependency.
Right.
It means we're
Yes.
intertwined, we're woven together, which means on the quantum level, which is very physical also, we feel
Yeah,
each other's stuff.
for sure.
What it means.
What? Yeah, and it's like think about the internet, like times like
Yeah.
a billion.
Yeah. I'm literally taking in your stuff with my eyes and with my ears, like in real time, literally. Yes.
It's so cool. It's like the original internet.
Yes. The internet is a facsimile of the actual living internet that we exist within at all times.
Our nervous system, yeah, our
Well,
interconnected nervous
that's
system.
how energy work works. That's how what I do for my living, but it's also a, a big privilege and pleasure. That's how energy work works.
Oof,
So,
amazing.
yeah. And that's how Ruach
Um,
HaKodesh and Nevuah works. It means tapping into that field and receiving the data in a way that's unobstructed.
so could we talk about that? Like, how
Mhm.
can we become, I guess, not codependent and not affected or as affected?
Mhm.
Because as we are maybe thinking that we are in a certain state, while other people are going through their states, we're feeling for them, whether it's accurate or not.
Right.
That's a projection that we have.
Yes.
And to
Yes.
be able to almost like disconnect from
Yeah.
that projection, not from the kindness, from the
Right.
notion of that, how do we regulate our nervous system?
So honestly, these somatic practices of bringing yourself back into your body and like the tangible data of experiencing your body, experiencing, right now I'm sitting on this chair and the wind is blowing in my face, like bringing it back to the individual physical experience, which literally only you are having. Nobody else is you feeling that chair under your butt, feeling the wind on your face. Th- Grounding from there, it as our nervous systems become calmer, we're not in the constant space of projecting and processing and that part of the self running that program and fighting with that part of the self. Like we close all those extra tabs that are running and things get quiet enough that I always say that like one of the biggest things I do as an energy worker is help to confirm my clients' intuitions for themselves. My job is to give you the keys to your own soul, the frequency of your own soul speaking within you. And because, outside of doing the healing, like I give people intuitive guidance, which is really me plugging into the data stream of their authentic soul and then saying, like, hey, this is what's coming through. And a lot of the times the people that I work with are like, that's what I felt, but I just wanted confirmation, because sometimes those other streams and frequencies and voices overpower the nervous system and it feels like that's the authentic self, but it's maybe quieter. It's maybe quieter. So the biggest thing is a quieter nervous system and letting ourselves go through the trial and error process of learning, and with people who have developed more sight than us and can help us see for ourselves. And that's really my job, is to help people learn how to hear and see for themselves.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so important to be connected to a rebbe, to a tzaddik, to and the rebbe actually says this concept of that when we are connected to the tzaddik, then we actually tap into a higher, more accurate nervous system,
Stream.
right?
Yeah,
Stream,
yeah.
right?
The part, and it ultimately taps us in, not to ultimately then it taps us into the portions of our own soul and our soul root that are already in that state of being in a state of of tzedek, of righteousness, so to speak, which means full alignment with higher aspects of reality.
Yeah,
And so it's
which is
ultimately
Yosef.
really it's yes, exactly, that it taps us actually into our own higher self, our true authentic higher self, when we down here tap into somebody who's already tapped into that for themselves, then it kind of reroutes us to that part of ourself that's actually there already.
Yeah, and just to bring that Kabbalistically, right?
Yeah.
Because we have Yakov and we have Yisrael and we have Rachel, but then we have Yosef,
Yeah.
which is Yesod, which is foundation, Tzaddik
Yeah.
Yesoda, which goes up in the middle column, which goes all the way up to Keter,
Yep.
and then is able to actually channel from the source, and that actually channels all the way down into Malchut.
Yes.
So being connected to um, a guide, right, to a teacher, to be connected to mashpia, like the Rebbe said, to be connected to it, you're right, tzaddik, to the
Yeah.
tzaddikim of the generation, to light a candle, to have that emunas tzaddikim, like it says in Shar Yichud ve'emuna, that because of tzaddikim alter, bring this reality. And the truth is, ve'amech kulam tzaddikim, that we all have this power to really tune into our tzaddik and to be connected to
The part of
that
us that's in
that
that state.
yes, and we
Yeah.
need and we need that ability to actually sift through and to have
Exactly.
that reality check, right,
Yes.
through what you do, energy healing, through coaching, through mentoring, through whatever it is. Like, we all need that support, whatever
Yeah.
that is. We need each other, and
Yes.
to be connected to each other on a more of healthier stream, that
Yes. In an authentic way. Yeah.
in a, that it's that we're affecting each other as a small tribe and as a large tribe, and this
Yes.
is what's happening more and more, that we need more and more of this dialogue, more of
Yes.
this connection, that is then going to make more of a wave that's connecting other people more to themselves, and then we're all connected to, we're all lifting each other up, we're all
Exactly.
walking each other home, right?
Exactly.
um
Exactly.
so yeah, such a pleasure, Ani.
Always a pleasure.
I feel like I would love to hear, like, any we have over here a bunch of an amazing individuals, that if Lorenzo, Yitzhak, Basi is on. Any thoughts? All right. So I guess
I just
Lorenzo.
want to say thank you. This is a really rich data stream I wrote it in the chat, which I'm downloading. And a few months ago, I sought out Annie's help for some energy clearing. And, Rabbi Amahai, your teachings, Miriam's teachings, the teachers that you put on Live Kabbalah, you all bring me closer to, I want to convert, and you all bring me closer to tapping into my Jewish soul. And I'm so grateful for this very rich, rich, rich teaching. That's what I want to say.
Baruch
Amen.
Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. Yeah, and bringing you closer to yourself. That's
That's the
that's
Yes,
point.
that's
exactly.
That's the
because
point. Yeah.
they're really just reflecting, mirroring each other.
Yeah.
The outer world and the inner world are really one.
And I'm
Yeah.
so
And
very
and
grateful to
and
have all of you.
yes. And all of mankind has the potential, and it's not even about, if we leave the term Jewish aside for a moment, that all of mankind, the potential is to become Yisrael, which is, when you permutate
Yes.
the letters, it means Yashar Kel, straight to God. And that is the destiny of all of mankind. Because that was the original intention for humanity. And then we went through all the things that we've went through, and our souls have shifted spiritual identity through lifetime. Sometimes you're incarnated Jewish, sometimes you're not. That's straight from the Torah of the Arizal. And it actually, the secret of the concept of being a Yisrael is activating the parts of us that connect straight and directly, through that center column, to up all the way up to the Ein Sof Baruch Hu. And so we're all stepping into just an incredible new reality of experiencing that in our bodies at all moments and all times. But speaking of which, I actually have to pop off this incredible space now to start
Yes.
some client sessions in a few minutes. So,
All right. Well, Ani,
yeah,
it's been a pleasure. Really, really
as
a pleasure.
always, just the
And
beginning. Just the
just the
beginning.
beginning. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Looking forward to a lot more convos. And yeah, Israel, right? Just being
Yeah.
connected to Yashar Kel, just being straight
Yep.
with Hashem, straight with our
Literally.
straight with our hearts. And
Yes.
yeah, and lots of love to everyone. And
Yes.
Zat Hashem, like, we should we're gonna get through this.
Yep.
We're going to the other side.
Yes. We're
Amen.
going to everything that's coming to us is coming through us, and we're transmuting it.
Doing this together.
Yeah, we're transmuting it so that once it's transmuted, it will not manifest the same way again. So,
Yalla.
Amen.
yeah, let's do
Yalla.
it. All right.
Amen. Amen.
Much love,
Thank,
everybody.
Thank you so much.
bye, Ani.
Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.